Hello,
Hi,
this is Nick Vick and Azero Alcala.
that's
and
me.
This is the Confidently Uncertain podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show. Last episode, we were talking about Azero's. He's got this new mentorship, and something that really resonated with me was this talk of a 5-year plan. Now, he defined it differently than what I've heard of it before, or I guess more like what my assumptions of a 5-year plan was. But what you said was that a 5-year plan isn't supposed to be extremely detailed all the way to the 5th year. That, if I'm getting this correct, the first 2 years are really the detailed ones, and the other 3 are vague.
Yeah, pretty much like that, because with anything in the future, you don't really know what's going to happen, but it's good to have kind of like a milestone / placeholder goal that you can visualize where you want to be. So it doesn't necessarily mean by this time you are for sure going to achieve it. Like a 5-year plan usually generally consists of pretty much like I wanna be this far in my career. Maybe have a reputation already. Maybe already make 2 feature-length films. Now we all know, sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes it might take a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Those things naturally happen, and that's okay. But the main thing is the 5-year plan is to help you keep on track, to help you make sure that at the end of the day, you're visualizing that goal.
Yeah, it's not something that has to be definite. It's
Yeah.
more something to get your mind thinking and making sure you're doing this constant path, consistently moving towards a goal, having a goal in mind, and not just aimlessly doing whatever you want to do. I guess for you, as opposed to just you want to just be like, oh, I'm going to be working on an art piece that, I don't know, just looks cool.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I am trying to be, if I want to sell portraits, and that's where I want to be, and I want to be in a booth a year from now, then I should actually keep focusing on portraits more.
And I feel like everyone in the audience has had that shift in their life at least once in their life where you feel like you want to do one thing, but maybe you're starting to shift your views towards another thing. And which is why it's essential that we say it's still loose, it's still flexible.
Yeah, a 5-year plan is not you trying to predict the future.
Yeah, no one can do that. No one.
Yeah, it's because that's how I used to mock the idea of a 5-year plan, is because life's always changing. Like, how can you really know where you're gonna be in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
But if I actually had someone who truly understood it, I would have known that it's not that. It's really just having a vision, a clear vision, and understanding what you want.
Well, it's kind of like how I mentioned before the podcast. It's like working out. Working out generally, you can do without a goal, but generally, for I guess people, especially who are starting out, it's good to have a goal. It's good to have somewhere where you want to be. Now, that doesn't mean after you reach that goal, that's it, right? You're going to keep pushing forward. But it's good to have something that the next day you're going to pick up and get better at. So by the end of that, I guess, period where you're doing your stuff, there's still a drive from then on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I get it. If we're comparing it to a workout, there's people who work out and they just say, I just want to be in better shape. So every workout is just like, whatever. It's like,
Right.
Maybe dumbbell curls today and maybe tomorrow I'll just do chest.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, well, I want to lose weight and I don't care about so much building muscle, then you got that goal in mind. It's like, well, then I guess I'm going to do cardio, the most of all of this.
Yeah, there's more specified things you need to do in order to achieve that goal. And that's actually how you get, especially in my experience, if we're even talking about that, that's how you get somewhere faster. And And when you lose motivation, sometimes you're like, I don't want. What am I even doing this for? That's when you have your 5-year plan. That's what keeps you on track. That's what makes sure that it keeps you motivated. It keeps your drive going.
Yeah, always having a clear direction.
Yeah.
So we did talk about your 5-year plan a bit last episode. Is there anything else you wanted to like share with it? I mean, I don't think I really got every specifics, but I do know that you realize like where you need to put your focus on and where you're going to be it's next year you want to be in selling that booze and really having that I guess what would you call it, like a solo business?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. That's what I want to immerse myself in the most. It makes sense for my situation now, since with this job that I have part-time, since it is so flexible, I feel like that I'm making enough money to be able to not only sustain myself, whether it becomes with rent, whether it comes with insurance, bills, so on and so forth, that I have a little left over now so I can invest in my business. And when I was talking to my mentor about it, he agreed that it's something that I should take advantage of. Since I do go to conventions anyway, like me and you, we cosplay. We go to the Fanime, we go to SAC, we went to SAC Anime, you went to Kraken Con. Like we're immersed in that community already.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense to kind of pursue that audience. So yeah, boothing, and it doesn't even have to be in conventions. It could be in like San Francisco General, like first Friday, and in Oakland, which is like a huge type festival with all these booths. Mm-hmm. That's also what I'm going for.
It's grabbing all those opportunities that are in line with that closest goal right there.
Yeah, and you also said like you mentioned next year that is the specific goal, and it's easier to say that since it's so close to us now, right? And with the other years, to kind of go on, I guess the specifics about my personal 5-year plan.
Yeah, share it.
Yeah. Well, why are you doing that smile?
I'm excited.
Oh, okay. Well, you were like, no.
I like that we still do this podcast.
Oh no!
And I wanted to hear this.
Sorry,
I thought next time I'm just gonna look bored as fuck. Like,
no,
share it.
No, it's not. I disrupted you from trying to talk. So I was like, oh, did I? Was I?
And that's the smile I give you. Like,
yeah. No, okay,
bitch.
no, keep going.
Okay.
It's like, sorry. But with my 5-year plan, the general goal is actually to scale off that boothing when it comes to my character. My characters that I want a future in the animation industry. I want to see if I can not only make a comic book, like a mini series with them, but maybe sell it to, not sell it, but like have someone back it up so it can be maybe a Netflix series, maybe a series on TV.
That's like the big dream right there.
Yeah.
The overarching plan of it all, but it is that's not within the 5-year plan though, right? Because I guess like part of the 5-year plan is taking these things into steps, but as you have like as you're on like step 1, you know what step 2 is gonna be, and once you reach step 2, you got like the rough idea what step 3 is going to be, which will be more defined once you get to step 2.
Yeah. It's not part of the ultimate 5-year plan, but it is something that's I feel like
that's like the life plan right there.
Yeah, well, that's just something that's important to also keep in mind. Even though it is separate from the 5-year plan, remember what I said about scaling. Once you finish your goal, that does not mean you just finish. Mm-hmm. There's something that you want to keep going with. The ultimate big picture is just as important as the incremental details. It's about balancing which one you tackle first. Which most of the time, it's always. I feel like a lot of beginners, we did this for the odd job. We're kind of going too big, too early. Mm-hmm. We were trying to go
definitely.
too big. Right,
we did
exactly.
That.
So it's good to have that big picture, but the focus should be the small portions first. Mm-hmm.
So would you say that this that big picture is it something that is kept in mind the whole time while scaling it down to just the 5-year plan?
Yes, because there also is a structure for everything you do. Like, for example, my characters. Not only am I making illustrations for them, I'm also with their characters in mind. I'm also thinking about them being kind of applied to animation. You know, how entertaining they can be. Even with their character design, everything has everything already has like the foundation of where I want to be towards the end. So with everything that I do now, I'm just building upon that structure that I already have in the first place, which is I want this goal to go over here. So this goal in the big picture is always in mind while I'm on this path.
So would you say it's like the projects you're working on now and more immediate, they could stand alone,
Yes.
but they are part. They like once they come all together for these bigger ideas, like it
Yes.
also works for that. It also works to sell.
Yeah.
Say like you do a portrait, or you do this comic book, and both of them are great on their own. Then when it comes to like pitching this as a animated show, it's like it also works for that to help sell it.
Yes, yes. Everything's part of a greater plan. You know?
But it also sounds like even if it doesn't like happen like the animated show, you still would have great pieces of work.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point. I think there's that saying, shoot shoot for the moon, and then you'll end up being like around the stars or something like that. You know, once you aim big and you have that drive, that realistic drive to go up there, you kind of step back and you realize, oh wow, I made all this really good stuff just by going towards like that goal that I want to go to. Like you will find yourself growing exponentially. That's what happened to these couple of months. That's why I've had all this growth, in my opinion.
You know, I see this. It's like a perfect comparison with superhero movies right now.
How's that?
Oh, I think of like Marvel films. They started off and you're like, oh look, good standalone films. Okay, well this Iron Man film said something a little bit about like I don't know Thor maybe, and
Yeah.
then like as it went on, you're like, oh shit, there's a bigger universe going on.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
still watch the movies and you're still like, I'm still entertained by this one movie. And then you compare it to like there's other people like Universal trying to make their dark universe and DC trying to make their universe. They just jumped in right off like we're doing crossovers. You guys excited? And it's just like oh, yeah, now I don't like any of these movies.
Well, to kind of divert from my 5-year plan, I only talked about it very briefly, understand, but I kind of want to know about like how you kind of tackle these things. How are you tackling all your projects and your plans for the future right now? Knowing that we're talking about the 5-year plan, but again, you mentioned before that's not really how you work. Or something.
Well, see, for me, there are many things I want to do, and I guess different from yours is like whatever you're doing, no matter how different they all require the same skill. So whether you're going to be a concept artist, making portraits and posters, or animator, all of them will require you to essentially draw.
Right.
But for me, I want to do many things, and it's like I've had a taste of all the things I wanted to do for the most part. So of course there's film, and what I mentioned really early on was I also am a performer because currently I am performing, and I want to be a performer. It's like something that's always been in my mind to perform, but I always like, it's just a hobby. But I've done it, and now it's like, no, I really like this. Also because like since high school, I've been rapping. I've been writing songs, practicing freestyling, and I mean, as of recent, when we were at MagWest, I went to this thing called the Nerdcore Cypher. There was this game that was the people who were like the rappers that were chosen for the show. They were considered like they were champions, and it's like, hey, anybody wants to play, you could represent these champions. You just gotta ask them. And this one I saw was like, oh shit, this guy's amazing. I went up to him, and he actually saw me rapping at during a jam, and he knew my skill level, and he was before I even asked, he's like, I would choose you if you ask. I'm like, I was gonna ask, and I had fun with it. I got connected with him, so I hope this still connects to what I was talking about. I feel like I deviated
Well,
too
you were
much,
talking,
but
yeah.
it's not just like, oh, I just write songs and freestyle and maybe I've like done some things in front of friends. It's like, no, I have performed, and now beyond just like getting confirmation that I'm good at it by friends. It's like, this guy I think is extremely talented. He's like, you are really talented too. I'm like, so I could do this,
Yeah.
I could do this. And then wanting to perform in other ways. And yeah, I just want to do a lot.
Yeah.
And I found that as a problem when I first started off, just approaching everything. It was I felt like with all the things I wanted to do, I had to do it now. It couldn't be taking turns. It couldn't be work on a film now, afterwards work on a rapping career, afterwards work on improv. It's like, do it all right now. Everything at once. And when you take on many things and have many things as your priority, you kind of end up putting a little focus on all of them.
I guess my question for you would be,
And that was going to lead into the answer.
oh, okay.
So what is my feeling on a 5-year plan now? It is that I don't call it a 5-year plan. I do relate to some of the things you were saying about when I do some things, I do have this bigger picture in mind. But it's at the moment still like this dream. It's like, wow, wouldn't that be amazing if I did get that at the end? But if I don't, I'm okay with this. And I work on a real. I guess it's like I'm only thinking about what I'm currently doing, and then 2 steps ahead of that.
Right.
But nothing like I planned out the whole year and the next year, and got like the other years in mind of when certain things would be ideally like when I would want them to come out. Just in my experience, and this is also why it's like a 5-year plan can't be something definite. It's just I don't know where I'm gonna be, say for even like in the next month. And so for me to imagine that I know where I'm gonna be in a year, and what being like where I'm being like physically and where I'm being like mentally, like who I am at that moment and what opportunities I now have, I can't say what's gonna happen just at the end of the year.
But I feel like that's why the 5-year plan kind of works. So another question I was going to ask you during this time where you're talking about your projects and what you want to do, I've been in that same boat. I want to do a lot of things because I'm not only an artist. I do love performing. I do love, socializing with people. I find myself really good at that. That's why I'm with that in mind. I chose the path that I chose. Like I guess you can call it a convention artist, like a boothing artist. What's really awesome about that is because it's not just making art. It's selling yourself. It's managing a business. It's networking. It's everything that I'm good at. So my question would be, have you ever thought about that one thing that would be possible to coexist all of your interests into one?
I have. I do think a lot about the maybe we should censor this. I'm about to say it. I'm about to say a bad word, but I'm part of a improv or rap freestyle duo, and we call ourselves Fuck. It's all caps with a period at the end.
With a period.
And I think about how that does encompass everything I like to do, because even though it's not writing, it's still creativity. It's still words being created on the spot by me. So it does give me that. It does give me that outlet in some degree, even though nothing's technically written down. It also encompasses music. It encompasses performing, like even in acting wise, playing games, and the obvious one, rapping. And I honestly do see it as like it's a unique show for many people. Even if someone is doing similar things, it's gonna be a unique show because it's my take on it,
Yes.
and I have fun with it. I do want to take it further, and there are thoughts around that. And nothing. I just know the partner I'm with right now. He doesn't want to take it as far as I would want to take it, and I also see just by the way we work, like where our headspaces are at, where he's somebody that does it for fun, and that's so okay to do it for fun. And we've done many performances together just for fun. Though for me, I also see it as like this is also my opportunity to sell myself as a musician. So it's like I would still perform with this guy, still have fun with him. But if I was to take it to the next level, I would want to find someone who's like want to take it as big as I would want to take it.
So you also mentioned that you want to do music.
Yeah,
that's
I want to
something.
do music.
That's something that has always been an interest in yours. And
Mhm.
before in the past, you actually have pursued actually making your own tracks.
Yeah.
So I with that in mind, is that something that you feel like with your film and your love for rapping and music, like is there something there that maybe music videos or directing for music videos or something like that?
Now, I haven't directed a music video before,
Mm-hmm.
but actually, to answer the question straight up, yes, I do see the connection.
Yeah.
I haven't directed a music video before. I can see it as being like this is great practice, and there's some people who like they make the careers off of directing music videos. It's just something that never really excited me so much in the same direction of directing.
Yes, yeah.
Because directing a narrative is definitely going to be different from directing a music video. To say to say not to do it, that's not what I'm saying. It's just there hasn't been a time yet in which I got the offer or found like the opportunity somewhere of someone looking for someone to direct a music video or just to offer it to someone else. It's always been in the back of my mind, but when I think of something like, well, I could do that, or I can produce the script I wrote. It's just always the scripts writing that's always winning. When it comes to my own shit, yeah, I'll be directing my own music videos, or maybe getting someone else to direct it. But I definitely want a lot of creative liberty in how this music video is made. And I also always had the thought of what if I made with every release of a short film or any film, a rap song. Or a song in general, just to bring back that cheesiness of the '90s and early 2000s when like every movie had their own original soundtrack, and you would like have I think it was like what was it called, the Deep Blue Sea. LL Cool J made a rap song about killer sharks. Like I want to bring that back. Like I don't want to just make a song that's gonna be played in the background. It's like, no, you find out this is about Sully Burke. Like this is a trap song all about fucking lifeguarding and this main man Sully Burke.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're excited talking about that because
it's just like it's like the wackiest idea I have because it's just like it's just not done anymore. It will be able to be done and wouldn't it just be a cool tidbit like, hey, just to let you know, anytime Nick directs a film, there is a song about that film.
Yeah, and with to kind of mention specifically even about your directing style, I always notice that every little detail has a purpose, even with the big picture of the film. Right, so I think that even that can be something that can help solidify and coexist your ultimate goal. An avenue that you don't have to write forever. My goal isn't to be a convention or a booth artist forever, but that's something that's a good starting point because it helps bring all my interests together.
Well, I will say this, and this will go more in detail of like not what I call my 5-year plan. Essentially, it's probably like I'm just going into the first year of a 5-year plan.
Right.
But there's no creative name for it, just the way I described it, which was where am I at currently, and then 2 steps ahead of that. But so I'm wrapping up Hyde now, and I talked with a friend of mine, Ian, and after Hyde's done, we're gonna work on music together. And we've been working on music together for years, and definitely have grown as artists together throughout that, because we've both seen each other's skills change. Like, I think we're a lot better than what we were before, and there are some like tracks that are recorded and released out there, and it's just like none of them really were surpassed what we expected. Like, I think we could still call it a achievement that we made a song, but it's just like, nah, I want to bump this.
Yeah.
But that is like where I'm at right now. So like my step right now is like, well, wrapping up Hyde and preparing the screening. And after that, I already got the like, well, I'm gonna work with Ian. We're gonna work on music more.
Yeah.
And while I'm doing that, I'm still gonna be writing scripts and trying to produce more short films.
Mm-hmm.
I do know, though, however, like, I am going to put the focus more in music at that moment and working on, and I guess this could be considered step 3, working on getting performances out there. I'm not going to compass like making music and performing it in the same thing, because 2 separate things.
Right.
Like, once you're starting to plan shows, that's going to be taking a new commitment out of your life. And so I definitely, that's why I see, like, it's not like I'm going to have to give up on one for the other, but if it's coming to like which one needs to be done first, which one has to be focused on more after Hyde, it would be music. Especially because I'm going to be working on it with someone else. It's not just providing that commitment to myself, but it's commitment to another person.
Yeah.
And to finally do what we've been talking about for freaking years. And what's really great too, I read on, I can't remember if it was an article or Reddit. If I said article, it would sound more like it would sound more value. Like, oh, this is pretty credible. But Reddit's not completely filled with liars.
Yeah.
It was that. Ooh, I hit the pop filter. What they said about if you wanted to get a job as a director, be known as something else. Be good at something else and get known for that first. Like, you could practice directing, but it's like people will have more confidence to like let you direct, or maybe it would be a bigger selling point if you already have a name in something. Think about, there are directors who start out as directors and continue their job as directors, but there's also people like, there'll be musicians who end up taking up directing, or actors who take up directing. I think of someone like Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, who was a writer, comedian, and then became a musician before he started directing more. But he already had this label on him. Like, he was already loved and praised, and if you put him on any project now, you know it's like it's gonna do well. I trust this guy.
Yeah.
So that's another way in which, if I performed more and got my name out there as a performer and a musician, it would actually help build up my reputation as a filmmaker as well.
Yeah, and I see that is the path that you're just naturally already flowing into.
It is.
Yeah. But I want to mention that what you said in the beginning was completely true about the 5-year plan. It always it's not something solid. So to kind of tie this back to your situation, the reason why I do ask that question, and I do ask like how you feel about the 5-year plans, is because I think, since you're very similar to me in that aspect, I want to do a lot of things. I have been pursuing a lot of things, and it's almost overwhelming to think about so much. It's not a bad thing. It's just you get excited about so many things. Which one do you reel in? I think that actually writing it down and actually having something to look at, even if it's just like a piece of paper or a graph, will help you in the long run even figure this out. Which is why I feel like it would be beneficial, a 5-year plan for you, because like, even like, I'm looking at your board right now, like your calendar, like you like writing stuff down, and I feel like that gets you more organized, right? And I feel like you can figure out a more solidified path, which may not always be the same, like you said, but I feel like without having those second thoughts in your head of where do I want to go, by writing that down, you'll be able to have a more foundation with your step by step process instead of feeling like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna do this today, rather than instead thinking this is what I'm gonna do today because this is what I kind of enacted. You know.
So what is tell me what the benefit is of writing it down. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yes.
It's just I'm curious what your thoughts on it. Besides you're able to visualize it better and you got this direction. Like, is there a feeling that comes around with it? Does it or does it clear some things up? Is it eye opening?
Oh, definitely. Like, you know me. I always tell you, I'm a free flowing guy. I go with the flow. Technicalities, Excel, Microsoft Excel, like I said in the previous episode, that's not me. But once I did it, once I wrote it down, right when I typed those words, like 5-year plan, and typed the words of what I want to do, the mentality wasn't what if anymore. It's as if my plan was already in motion just by writing it down. It's already a not commitment like like a contract, but it's a commitment to a certain action you want to take by already writing it down. So me writing down my goals already makes me feel a lot better every day working on the stuff that I'm working on. So yes, it does make you feel a lot better right when you write it down.
And do you check on this thing like daily, weekly?
Yeah. Well, I do work on stuff every day. So I'm actually archiving all my stuff now. So even in progress stuff at the end of the day, I just save like a simple photo, put it on Excel, and say it's in progress. But
like in your 5-year plan, you would put like something's in progress.
Yeah. So there is a sheet that I have that you can update really easily and just put how much percentage are you with done. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to be that specific. I'm trying it out because it seems something that I'm really excited on doing.
And this is on Excel, or what you have.
This is on Excel. But like I said, it doesn't have to be that. It could even just be a simple like writing it down on a notebook. And also, I didn't mention this. I do carry around a notebook now. So I do carry around a notebook with like just little to-dos, like little goals. Even it doesn't even have to be regarding to my art. It could be like paying off a credit card. Did I pay it off this week, right? I never thought that I'd be like this, Nick. I never thought that I would be writing those little tidbits down. I didn't know how to be budgeting. I didn't know how to be so in love with spending trackers and all that. Right when you do it, and right when you have something to visualize, it feels so good. So good.
I guess it's like that, the way you're describing it, it's like that one step closer to making this something tangible, something actually here in the real world, and not just in your mind.
No.
Because if you think something in your mind, it's up to you whether or not you want to share it.
Right.
And if you never share it, then it's like it can be forgotten.
Your mind is a what if situation always until you actually do something about it. So that's why I say even the simple act of visualizing it quite literally on a piece of paper or even an Excel sheet, that already makes you more focused.
So I have a question because something popped into my mind while you were describing this 5-year plan. I realized that when I was seeing a life coach, I didn't write down a 5-year plan, but I wrote a 1-year plan. It was what my plans were for, like, what do I want to do in the upcoming year. And it was just that too. It's like, what do I want to do? What are my goals in this? And one thing I noticed when I did it was I wrote a lot of things down, and I made sure to prioritize them, like list them out, like what's number 1, what's number 2, what's number 3, and I noticed that some of the things that I thought I would have got around to by the end of the year, it's like I only got like actually halfway through the list. So I guess like what's that kind of like feeling to, like, is that how you're supposed to approach a 5-year plan? It will happen that you put down a lot more than you actually would be taking on.
Most definitely. That's also something that was made clear to me. You won't always hit that mark, and that's okay. The the 5-year plan, just by I'm trying not to sound like a broken record, but again, just by writing it down, will help you get that one scattered thought out of your mind. You know how we always ponder, as human beings, we always ponder upon a simple phrase like what do I do today? Like, what am I going to do today?
Yeah, I know that one.
All right. So it could be, do I clean my room today? Do I work on hide, or do I, do laundry? There's all these things in your mind, and it's circling. It's circling like a huge tornado inside you. But the purpose of putting it down is to unscatter everything that's happening up in your brain, up here. It's to have it stagnant. It's to have it more formal and more logical. So you could literally say, I don't think this is a priority today. I can do this right now.
So it almost clears up that decision overload some of us might come across, because we're thinking so much about all the things we could do that it's like, then which one should I do? I think, what is it called? Decision paralysis. I think some people call it that.
Interesting.
Because, well, I started doing this, and this helps me a lot. In which it's like, if I had free time after work, yes, the thought comes in my head. It used to come to my head like, should I clean dishes? Should I write? Should I edit? Should I sweep? Like, what should I do today? And it would most likely end up with me watching YouTube. Because I guess it was this thing of, there was so many options that if I chose one, I'm neglecting the other. And so everything was like a bad move. It's like, oh, you wash your dishes. Cool. Right. But guess what? You didn't edit. And it's like, oh, you edited, but look, your floor's a fucking mess.
Here's what happens.
And what helped me out, though, was always tell myself what I did yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow. To sum it up, I mean, I sometimes go to the days after, but essentially it was yesterday and tomorrow. And it would be writing it down or committing to myself and remembering how I felt, but reminding myself, like telling myself, oh, if I'm not going to do that today, then tomorrow is when I'm going to do it. I think of, if we're doing an example of, say, like in 1 week, I want to work out, wash my dishes, and also write. Before, I would be in a mode in which I would start the day, it would be after work, and I come home and was like, okay, what should I do? I got this time. Should I work out? What are my dishes are doing? Maybe I should do that. But I haven't worked out in 5 days. I'm slacking on that. But when was the last time I wrote? And it's like, everything's the wrong answer. But if I would say like the day before work, let's say I had like a busy day, and I went, damn, you know what? I should really work out tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work out tomorrow. If I said that yesterday instead, when it comes to that, the day which is like all these decisions are here, I remember those. Like, but I want to work out. I said yesterday I want to work out today, so maybe I should do that. Like, that's what I was thinking about. And if there was ever a thought that came in my mind of, so let's say like the next day. Okay, so I work out one day, and the next day comes. The decision in my mind might come again of like, do I work out, wash dishes, or write? If I remind myself, like, wait, you worked out yesterday. And you worked out yesterday, and you don't need to work out every day. So you're good on working out. No, you don't get out of shape in one day. That's not how it happens. And it's like, all right, so what do I do? Do I write, or do I wash dishes? And it's like just making a deal with myself. Like, whichever one you do, you're doing the other one tomorrow. It's just like that. So if it's like, okay, I'll wash dishes, and I wash them, and it's like, and my mind might still go like, oh, you should be writing. But I keep telling myself, you will be writing tomorrow. And that's perfectly okay. Yeah. And then it's like, I feel better throughout the week, because I realize in this 1 week, I did those 3 things I wanted to do. I did work out, I did clean up the place, and I did get some creative practice in. And it's just constantly doing it like that. Even like, say if I'm writing, I'm like, wow, I gave a lot of time to writing today. I might say to myself, maybe tomorrow I work out again. And that's personally how it works for me. And I could definitely see how writing that down can help you even stay more committed to that, because it's like you're making an agreement with yourself.
Yeah.
It's like past self was like, hey, what are you doing today? You promised me if I worked out today that this room would be clean. What the fuck? It's dirty still.
And well, also with that in mind, those tasks do relate to your everyday life, which is also essential too. For me, I work out not only just to feel good, but for my sanity. That is all.
Oh yeah. Being people who sit down all day, it's like,
Yeah.
I need to prove to myself I can move again.
Yeah, and there's sometimes I love working out, but there are some times where sometimes I have to kick myself in the ass to start. But I know at the end of the day, I will appreciate myself for doing that, and my workflow will feel a lot better once I sit down and start drawing again. Like I don't feel sludgy. I don't feel like I don't feel bad. And even when it comes to cleaning your room, I hate feeling like I'm drawing or working in a scattered mess.
Yeah.
So even that, I love cleaning my room. It's therapeutic.
This was unintentional, but we're going back to that main theme of this whole show: balance. If you want to be, if you really want to be happy with your art, it's also putting balance outside of the art. It all influences each other. But to go back to what we're really talking about here today in this episode, with all that in mind, I guess it really does make sense to have it written down, even if it's like I don't think I will get to all of this by the end of the year. It's still like, but now like you can now weigh out how important this is to you.
Yeah.
Because when I did that year plan, there was some things I written down, and then when I looked back, I was like, oh fuck, I forgot I put that here.
Yeah.
And it's instead of myself like being myself, I beat myself up a bit with like, oh, remember you promised yourself that. After a while, I looked at it as like, wait, maybe I don't care about that as much.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not too important. Like, let's be honest, we do have many ideas, but some of them really are just like, oh, that'd be fun, but I don't want to put the work in for it. And to be honest, if that was never in my life, I would be A-okay. But it would be fun.
Yeah. And that's also the great thing about those 5-year plans. If you feel like you don't need to tend to it, you're being realistic with yourself. You're being true. Like, hey, maybe I don't need to have this in my life. Maybe I don't. Maybe I was just forcing myself to have this upon my life. But it doesn't really matter. Like then you hone in on your goal of what you want to do in the long run.
I guess it's just like that thing of wanting to just do so much and feeling like you have to do it all. Like just because you had the idea, it's like that means we got to add it on there too. Especially for people like us who we're trying to get our name out there. We want people to know us, and we know that once people know us for one thing, it could lead them to embracing and wanting the other things we can provide. That we're like, then let's do everything at once and let's see which one sticks. I think for both of us, we both thought about having YouTube careers.
Yeah.
Even though like you heard us in the show talk about like we don't really want to be that type of like YouTube content creators. Like it's just not our focus. I still stand with them. Like being a guy who makes video essays would be fun.
Yeah.
But when it came down to it about like actually putting the work in and like think of all the other things I want to do, it's like, but that's the lowest priority. I can't lie. If I did video essays, oh man, a fandom would come easier. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully it would come easier, but it's definitely be like, well, if people don't know me for my music, maybe they will know me for my YouTube essays.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just burped and had to pull away from the mic. But I think that's also the reason why there's that pressure. Like we have to do this all, and just thinking about it, like with this 5-year plan, helping you like prioritize things in an order. Say, okay, look, you want to do that? Well, which one do you want to do first? Let's do this one first. All right, can you do anything with that or while you're doing so? Maybe something smaller, lighter on your schedule. Okay, and then after that's going, it's like checking back in, doing a check back in. It just is this now. This is where you're at now. Do you want to continue doing that, or do you want to jump on to the next step? And also, how about this thing all the way on like number 8? Are you still feeling that strongly about that? Did you forget it?
Yeah. I want to kind of challenge, maybe not just the honest, maybe you too, if you want to do it. We were talking about this 5-year plan, and maybe 5-year plan is a little bit too much of a big chunk right now, especially without guidance for our general viewers. Because they don't have, not everyone has the same stuff going on like we do.
Yeah, and we also had people to check in on the list too.
Yeah. So here's my challenge. Try it out for a week. Just a week.
1 week plan?
Just literally a 1 week plan. It can be, I finish this writing by the end of this week, or finish like a page of a potential project that I want to start by the end of the week. Or it can even be non-creative related. So I'm asking all of you, try that out, but I want you to remember, don't think of it like a contract. It's not a contract. At the end of that week, when you finish it, if you don't, that's fine. I want you to kind of reflect, like you said, do I really want to do this? This is something that I would be most passionate about.
In my opinion, and you could disagree with me on this if you want to, I think we should up that.
Okay.
Because a week goes by really fast.
Okay.
If we want to make it easy, I'm thinking 2 months.
2 months.
I think 2 months because a month is like the shortest amount of a long length in a year.
Yeah.
I know that's very contradictory in it, but everyone thinks about like, it was like days, weeks, month. Like a month feels long,
yeah.
But it's also like in the grand scheme of a whole year, it's like, well, that's only a 12th of the year.
Yeah.
And a month sometimes goes by fast for people.
That's true.
But also just putting the second month there, because we were talking about the things you put on there, you're not going to get to them all. You could be excited for all of them right now, but we're saying it. If you're putting like 20 things on that list, you're not going to get to it all.
Yeah.
But by the end of 2 months, you will have a better understanding of like, okay, do I still want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll say, let's make the challenge. Write out just a 2-month plan and see how that helps you have a better understanding of what you want to do at that moment within that 2 months. And also see, like, I think someone will make, at least on like the first step of that 2-month plan, I think there will be some very good progress after 2 months. And if there isn't, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right? If life got in the way, that's okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't do it the next 2 months.
I actually, with that, I actually want to hone in.
Like you just up it up again. Like,
Yeah,
how about
yeah.
6 months?
6
Okay, how
months.
about 1 year? How about 5 years?
Yeah, it's like we go up to 5 years, and this was all worthless. This is all useless.
What were you gonna
But what I wanted to add is, I want to be more specific than that. I actually think 2 months is great. Don't write down one thing that you know you want to do. Like for me, for example, the thing that I know I want to do, I want to make illustrations. That's my easy go-to. Do something that you always thought you wanted to do. Write down something on that list that you have an idea of. I want to see what goes on with this. It can either be poetry. It can either be like, for all you creators out there, it can be different type of medium. It could be like even painting. Something that you feel that you've been thinking about, maybe like at night, like, that would be nice if I could do this. But you feel like that repetitiveness inside your mind. Try that out. Don't make the list so extensive. Don't put 20 things. It could even be 3.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the longest list ever.
Yeah.
In fact, if it's one thing, it could be one thing could take 2 months. Trust me.
Yeah.
And it's good to note also that don't just write it down, but also put some like sub notes that would say like, well, how are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
Let's take it to, like, you were talking about poetry. So if someone wanted to write more poetry, it could you could make that as like one note, like, okay, one thing, write poetry. And then it says, and then on the bottom it could say like, that's how you're gonna write poetry. Like, do you have trouble thinking of something to write about? Well, how can you get out of that that little what am I thinking? This is a stymie right there. Look, I know big words. Use that in your poem. You look it up. I used it wrong, but but really this thing that just hinders your abilities. Like you're feeling like you have this creative freeze inside your mind. It's like, well, how can you get this inspiration? Could you possibly maybe read some literature? Could like look just going outside the world help you create poetry,
And
finding
those-
a new place to write, or even joining a poetry group just to hear other people. Going to a poetry slam would also be something because then you're hearing how other people are making poems, delivering them, and talk to them. Like these are all things that like. And remember, it's not like when you write it down, you gotta do each one. You're committed. It's permanent. It's like, but those get it in your mind. Like start thinking, it's like, well, if you really want to write poetry more, like how can that be done? And even if it's like going to poetry slams more often, that one, the sub note would just be look for poetry slams.
Yeah.
Schedule it. If you can't, if you're like, oh, it's tomorrow, I can't do that. When's the next one? Like really test yourself how much you actually want to do that and how much it was just a fun idea. Like it would be fun.
Mm-hmm. So to recap, make a 2-month plan. This is the challenge. Make a 2-month plan. Have a couple goals. Again, does not have to be like a 50 plus goals. It could be one, like you said, one or like 3.
You want as much as your mind really gets excited for these things.
Put some what's good idea. Put some sub notes. Really delve into these take one night and just write down some sub notes of what you feel like you want to do with it.
Yeah, have at least like one right there to say like if that's what you want to do, what's an approach you could do to ensure this happens.
And please share with us. Share with us.
I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I will always love seeing like this progress type things. Like to kind of go a little off tangent. I love it when people talk about their weight loss progress. You know, their insecurities, their goals, about their positive notes. Like share that with us. Share that on the YouTube page. Even share it with me and Nick. You know, on our personal stuff.
If you want to, I mean, we have a professional email. It's might sound kind of weird saying it out loud, but it makes sense spelled out. It's conunpod@gmail.com, and when you need to know, it's just the first syllable of each word of the show. So confidently uncertain podcast, conunpod@gmail.com. Email that over to us if you have any questions about this challenge we're giving you. You can email us to us. That sounds like a weird sentence. Email to us. Email it to us. You can leave a comment down on YouTube because you don't know who has the same question. But we both really want to hear what our community is feeling and thinking and what gets them excited. And in 2 months, feel free to even update us. Like, how did that work? And if you're feeling, just tell us how you feel about it. Like, we want to talk with you guys.
Again, that's the reason we started this. We're a community. We want to be relatable, but we also want to help out as much as we can.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's make a little tagline here. We're all uncertain. Now let's work on being confident about it.
Yeah.
Put it on t-shirts right there.
Yeah, some merch shit. I'll put that on my 5-year plan.
Merch shit. Step 1, get some shit. Step 2, start putting your logo on that shit.
The shit.
So, this is the first episode we really asked for the audience to really get engaged with it. Like, we always want them to be involved with this, but now we're actually giving challenges. This is exciting.
Yeah, and I'm glad that at this point we can we can even have a one-on-one with the people. And
maybe, who knows, if enough people like do it, and then they have some questions like, well, what now? Like, I was having trouble with this part. Like, maybe in 2 months going through this again.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Well, only time could tell, because just like we were talking about, we got the idea, but if you gotta play it by ear, be flexible.
Yep. But at least we put it out there, so
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to leave it up on? I mean, I think this is a good note to sign off.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, well, we have an audience of like us, like we're just starting out. We're just want to get our name out there. Main thing is, we always say, you don't have to do everything at once. Don't have to complete tomorrow. Okay? Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy what you're doing right now. I promise you, Even I'm telling this to myself. I promise you, it will work out in the end.
If we're not even recording, he would just be sitting by himself,
Like-
just like saying, like, it's gonna work out. It's gonna
Hurdled
work
up in
out.
a ball, like fine.
Everything's
It's gonna
fine.
be
There's
fine.
time. There's time. The world's not burning.
Yeah, so everything will work out. Just keep doing what you're doing. Write it down like I said, and you'll be fine.
And with that, I wish you all a good morning. Unless you're listening to this at night, then have a good night. And unless it's nighttime and you're not going to bed, then just continue.
Good luck.
Continue your good day.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.